Hey guys, thanks for checking out Quick Sessions Podcast. My name is Garrett Terrio, and today we are recapping the World's Strongest Man Competition 2019. Now, you won't be able to watch it till the end of June, because that's just the way these things work. It is not quite as funded as the Olympics, I guess, is why it takes so long to put everything together. But if you scour the internet, you'll be able to find a few clips here and there, people that are there watching the events. And of course, we know the results, but actually seeing what happened and figuring out how it all went down is a little bit more of a chore. Now, my guy, the American, Martin Lisi, he won it. The Dragon. He got it. He's the champ. Dethroned the Mountain. Although the Mountain, Hafthor Bjornsson, he only got third. Mateusz Kaliskowski ended up getting second, and that was a battle in the finals, and we'll get back to that in a second. I know what you may be thinking, well, what happened to Hafthor Bjornsson? Well, who knows what would have happened, but day one, during the yoke medley, those big racks they put on their shoulder and they carry across, he tore his plantar fascia. Now, anybody that's had plantar fasciitis knows how painful that can be. So imagine tearing that thing, especially being 6'9" and tearing that thing. Definitely not ideal. Now, the Mountain has a history of ankle problems. I don't think that carried into it, but now you know. Anyway, real good competition. My guy Lexi didn't quite make the finals. In the finals, or I guess it'd be better if I told you all who all made the finals. So they went through their group stages and all that, and they did the final strongholds to whoever can hold the longest gets to move on to the finals, the second and third place in the group. So the finals consisted of Hafthor, the Mountain, Bjornsson, Martin Lisi, Trey Mitchell, another young guy I like a lot, Brian Shaw, and that's all the Americans right there. Then you got Tom Stottleman, Luke Stottleman, the brothers, Adam Bishop, Jean-Francois Caron, the Canadian, and who else? Mateusz Kaliskowski, of course, and Konstantin Genashia from Georgia. So that rounded out the final 10. So here's basically how it went down in the finals with everybody. It was essentially a battle between Martin Lisi and Mateusz Kaliskowski during the whole thing. So there were 5 events in the finals this year. I kind of went over it in the first one. You had the loading race, you had the overhead press medley, you had the squat lift for reps, you had the deadlift hold, and then, of course, at the end, you had the Atlas Stones where the top-ranked guys, pair off against each other. Not that they're guaranteed first or second, but, a lot of times it just ends up that way because strong guys are going to be strong in everything. So anyway, loading race, Tom Stottleman started all, and he took that no problem. Mateusz Kaliskowski came in second. Martin Lisi came in third. So right away, Martin's kind of starting from behind, but that's no big deal. You got 4 events to go. The overhead press medley. And once again, Mateusz outdoes Martin, right? He gets him by about 4 seconds on the whole overhead press medley. And Brian Shaw shows well also. And real quick on Brian Shaw, he didn't finish in the top 3, finished right outside. And he talked about it, how an interview with him, he was talking about how his speed wasn't quite there. I know that sounds silly, but if you look at all the different stuff, like the overhead press medley, you're running around picking up different stuff and trying to do it as fast as you can. It's all real. Time is how everything's measured, right? Except for the squats, essentially, everything is time. So he feels his conditioning wasn't there. Or not that his conditioning wasn't there, not that he was tired, but the speed just wasn't there. He wasn't training for speed as much as he should have, is what he was talking about. And then he also touched on the TV show he has coming out right after Strongman premieres on the History Channel. And I think it's called something like The World's Strongest Man in History, something like that. Anyway, he goes around, does strongman stuff. It sounds like it's going to be really cool, but he's finally able to announce it now that the strongman competition is over. So back to it, event 3, where the Americans really shine. Martin Lisi, the squat lift for reps. My man did 9 reps. Brian Shaw did 8. That's awesome. I love the squat. I love the Americans took it down. Not that this is an overly patriotic event, but if you're American listening to this, you know how it is. You assume everybody from Poland or Iceland or wherever, Russia, they're all just so crazy strong freaks of nature. And it's good to see the Americans get in there, and they're really the most basic of all the events, just the squat lifts, and just really take it down. Now, there was a little kind of excitement from what I'm gathering on this one. So Mateusz Kaliskowski, he got 7 reps. He got third. And Hafthor Bjornsson, the Mountain, really looked like he was in pain from the clips I was watching, which makes sense. He tore the fascia in the bottom of his foot. And it looked like it was going to be at 6 reps, but he somehow gutted out a 7th one. It was big time. Crowd went crazy. It was great to get into third, and that allowed him to still be in the running to defend his title, which everybody was kind of pulling for, because once he got hurt, everybody, I don't know if they counted him out, but it was very reasonable to just say, next year, right? You can't go up against all the other strongest men if you're not close to 100%. But he did it, man. He got those 7 reps, kept himself in the running, and after that, it got even crazier. So the deadlift hold was next, and the mountain actually came in first by a lot. He's a big guy, big hands. Like, this is definitely an event he should normally master, but even with that foot, his grip wasn't right. I'm sure there's a ton of pain holding that much weight on his feet, but he took down Martin Lisi by 4 or 5 seconds. And then Jean-Francois came in third, which, he's out of it. He has no chance anyway, but at least he kept Mateus out of the third spot and getting those points, which in the end will be what really puts Martin over the top. So Martin's placing, he's placing top 2 or 3 in all the events, which not uncommon, but for such a young guy and a new guy to it, relatively new to it, he's doing a great job of pacing himself, staying consistent in the lifts. And then, of course, the Atlas Stones came up. Now, Tom Stottleman won, and Martin Licis got second. But the coolest part was, number 1, Brian Shaw went against the other Stottleman, knocked it down. Then the Mountain went and took down, who was it? Now, the first Stottleman, he beat Brian Shaw. Is that how it went down? I was just watching it, too. Then the other Canadian went against the Mountain. Mountain takes it down. He's real good at the Atlas Stones. And what's so cool is how much they cheer each other on. Like, they are genuinely pumped for each other. And it is such a gym guy thing, right? If someone's strong, everybody's pumped up about it. And they can't wait to celebrate it and stuff like that. It's no different in strongman competitions. Martin's got second, but what was cool about him, it was him and Mateus going head to head. And just watching it, you can feel everything. And everybody's pretty excited because they kind of know Martin's right there. Just don't do anything disastrous and you got it. And he did. He took care of business. Paced himself real good. He's quick for a big guy, man. And he's, I guess, a little shorter at 6'3", but, he looked good next to everybody else. He really did. And he was quick with the stones. I didn't see him on the deadlift holds. I didn't see that event. I don't know how he went about it, but he looked good, man. It was cool to see those 2 guys, the eventual first and second place, go after it. And even though Mateus didn't finish in the top 3 for that particular event, he wasn't slow either, right? Not able to look in depth right now. I'm sure they'll release it pretty soon, probably right whenever Strongest Man comes out on cable. I think it's CBS. They're playing it, something like that, June 30th, and a bunch of 30-minute episodes, and then a big hour for the finals, which is I like watching the early ones just to see how the guys are pacing themselves. Because, man, all those lifts in 4 days, that's got to be taxing. There's no time to be sore, no time to recover. It's tough. You blow it out too hard on day 1, day 2 and 3 are shot. So it looks like the guys adjusted pretty well. Nothing to worry about with that. The Mountain was talking about next year will be his last one. I have a hard time believing that. He kept his streak alive, finishing third. That's 8 straight top 3 finishes. I think the record's 10. He's 30 years old. I don't see why he wouldn't keep going for it. If this foot sets him back a bunch, we'll see. But I'm not too familiar with plantar fascia tears, how long that takes. He's a big guy, so I assume it'll take longer than normal. But it's not like he's some guy who's out there running 5 miles a day, right? So that's pretty much it. The Latvian-born American, Martin Lisi, the young dragon, the champion dragon, is your 2019 World's Strongest Man. Every interview I've watched of him seems like a cool dude. Massachusetts guy. So it's very cool. It's very cool for a guy who ascended pretty quickly, too. He only even started training strongman when he was like 21. Can't remember exactly. But he was, I heard an interview of him, and he was talking about, high school workouts. And it's not like he was this absurdly strong guy in high school or anything like I would expect. I would expect, the 400-something pound benchers turn out to be strongman. But this guy, he's in the 350s. Strong, right? But we all know someone at our high school that could bench 350. It's nothing otherworldly. But here he is, World's Strongest Man, which got to be the coolest title to have, right? The strongest dude in the world for at least a year. So that's great. Good year for him. Top 2 finish at the Arnold Classic Strongman. And then, of course, the Mag Daddy, the World's Strongest Man 2019. Give him a follow on Instagram. He's a good follow. I like him. Shaw does a good job. I can't wait to see that TV show he comes out with. And we'll see if he comes back. Obviously running around filming this TV show didn't help him prepare. And he didn't make that an excuse, but you can kind of tell in the back of his head he hopes people understand without him having to say anything, which is understandable, but that's the thing. You want to be a TV star or a strongman. It's hard to balance both. And maybe he sacrificed a little too much. Maybe this will fire him up to give the show a break and get back to being a strongman. But he's getting up there in age, not by regular human standards, but World's Strongest Man standards. I mean, you're really in the twilight of your career, 34, 35, 36. They had, what's his name was in here at 37. I'm blanking on his name right now. But you can still do it. You can still compete. Maybe you're not in the finals every year, but a good year, some good events, you're all right, especially if the Mountain and Eddie Hall stays retired and things like that. Who knows? But he was still right there competing, finishing 4th or 5th. Nothing to be ashamed of. So good showing by the Americans. The young Polish man, Mateus, he's a big deal. Trey Mitchell, he's gonna grow. He's gonna be big. The finals experience is great. He may have gassed out a little early, but he's not the same mass monster as some of these other guys. But anyway, there's your recap. Make sure to watch it. June 30th, whatever channel it ends up being on. Looks like it was a cool event. Looks like it was a big event. Looks like it was way more hyped up and attended than those in the past. Maybe because it was in Florida, right there off Manatee Beach. But everyone said it was a good show, good competition. All the guys seemed crazy supportive of each other, which is pretty rare in sport. I mean, I know behind the scenes and not during the game, but even during the competition, guys are supportive of each other when they pair them up. And that's about it, guys. Thanks for checking out Quick Sessions and this World's Strongest Man recap. I'll see you next time.